Welcome back, everybody, to the Cinema Scrutiny podcast. Hope you guys had a fantastic holiday break. I know we did. As always, we're going to bring you through all of the TV, film, and streaming news that's been happening over the past, I believe, 2 weeks now that we've been away. And obviously, New Year, same us. We're coming at you. I believe we're episode 23 now. We're almost getting to half a year, which would be insane. And honestly, we're having a great time. We hope that you guys are having a great time listening. So, how was your break, Billy?
It was nice. Pretty relaxing. Got a couple weeks off and experienced some new content. It was pretty good overall, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. Picked up some new games. Just tried to watch some stuff. I didn't watch as much as I thought I would,
Yeah.
But I've been watching more of The Crown. I just got into season 4.
Nice.
Yeah, that was honestly the back half of season 3 is very, very good. Like probably some of the best that the series had to offer.
Yeah.
I
I didn't finish anything that I said I'd finish.
Yeah.
And I ended up starting too much other stuff that I shouldn't have, but that's my fault. I was too excited.
Yeah, I feel like it happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
There was a lot to start. The first thing that we wanted to talk about, and we'll just jump right into it, was we picked up HBO. We're going to be talking about Wonder Woman 1984 on the back half of the episode. But to start, we just wanted to talk about our thoughts having HBO Max for 2 weeks now. Just what we're thinking, whether or not we're going to keep it or not. I guess general impressions of the service.
Right.
So how are you feeling with your $15, Billy? Well spent?
I'm gonna say it's very well spent, actually. I was really impressed with it. There was a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff on there that I didn't anticipate or I forgot was on there.
Yeah,
so it
I
was
agree.
nice. It was nice to get a surprise once I logged in and everything. I really like the layout of the entire service. I think it's pretty straightforward. It's not too complex. I would like. I mean, if I'm thinking of all the streaming services I have, we're talking about Netflix, Disney, Hulu, and now HBO.
Yep.
I'd say Hulu's the worst, and then
the worst UI.
Yeah, and I'd say I'm gonna edge HBO over Disney, just because it's not as buggy of a service. I haven't had any problems as far as bugs or glitches.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll be honest. I have a 4K monitor on my other screen, and I have my HBO up, and it only covers about 3/4 of the screen, and it refuses to full size.
That's weird.
Yeah, so there are some bugs, but I agree that it's not it doesn't detriment the viewing experience, which I think was the problem with Disney Plus. It was us trying to watch The Mandalorian, it would constantly crash. Or even over the holidays, if I pause something on Disney Plus, it takes about probably 5 to 6 seconds to fully pause both video and audio.
Yeah.
And even at this point, that still feels unacceptable. It's been almost a year. It's just ridiculous. Why would you even put that out? But they have what I want, so I gotta deal with it.
It's really weird. All the problems that we had with Disney Plus when we were roommates and we were using it in living room.
Yeah.
I haven't had any of those problems since then on my own devices and stuff like that, which is really weird because it's a pain in the ass. It would always just disconnect from the internet when you're not disconnected from the internet, and it's a mess. But I don't know. Overall, HBO, I think they're really diverse too, as far as all the stuff they have. I love I don't know what it is, but the cartoons are really selling me right now. I'm really hooked on the cartoon.
Yeah, they got a large DC library for sure.
Huge DC library. The Cartoon Network, old school cartoons from the 90s and the 2000s are in there. I've honestly just been putting those on at night. The end of the night, you just want to put something on in the background to relax. I've been just putting on random shows, and they just added the Batman animated series. That's been huge for me. I don't know. I'm really happy. Really satisfied with the service that I didn't even think that was going to be that much. I figured it wasn't going to be worth 15, but
Yeah, it's
I
pleasantly
can.
surprised.
Yeah, I think it's. I think it as of right now, it may not be worth 15 to everybody, but I think by the end of 2021, it will be worth the 15.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely potential here. For me, I have 47 things on my watch list,
Yeah,
which is
I have a
pretty
lot of stuff too.
crazy. So, I'm built up. I'm waiting for Justice League Unlimited and regular
Yep,
Justice League, the animated series, to show up. Want to rewatch those really bad.
yep.
And there's obviously a lot of like long form series, like Game of Thrones, The Sopranos. I don't know if I'll
Yeah,
actually watch Game of Thrones, but like you can't tell because everyone says the eighth season was just so bad it wasn't even worth watching.
yeah.
My
I put it on my
only
list, even though I'll get to it eventually, I think, but it's
yeah,
on the list.
my only fear with this is that the 47 things I have on my list are expansive and could take me a long time. It might even take me, the year, let's say.
Hmm.
But between all 47 of them, I looked through genuinely every single piece of content that HBO has to offer. They have an
Yeah.
option to look alphabetically. I looked straight up A to Z, the entire thing,
Okay.
added anything that stood out to me on my list. Took less than 20 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Like having a small library, they obviously, all their content is very highly curated. Like some of this is award-winning shows that have always been on HBO, and I just haven't had a chance because they were kind of locked behind this paywall, like Band of
Yeah.
Brothers, The Pacific, Westworld, Euphoria, His Dark Materials, Lovecraft Country. Like that's the newest,
Hmm.
the big one.
Yeah.
But even Titans is on here now, which is cool.
Yep.
Watchmen, like these are great, crazy things. But my suggested problems, I don't know if they're going to be able to have enough new material coming out monthly where Netflix can put out 40 new things a month between their service, like their own stuff and third party stuff.
Right. Right.
I'm just not sure if HBO can fully put out enough content to keep me there once I watch these things.
Yeah. Consistently.
Yeah. And then I don't know when the other movie, like the movies that are coming out this year, I don't know when they're going to come back around. Because one of the things that I didn't realize was that they're only there for like a month. So Wonder
Hmm.
Woman 1984 is leaving HBO Max at the end of the month,
Yes.
which isn't something that I was originally aware of. And so if you only get a month with each of these major films, and if it takes them over a year to come back, you might end up waiting a long time to actually see some of this stuff come back to fruition as like a part of the service.
Right.
So yeah, for now, I think it's a good spend. I think that if you don't care for some of these shows, or even if you do, you could probably, just get the stuff that you really, really want and get it out of the way in a month.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
but
Take a trial.
yeah, like I really don't know if I'd keep it for the entire year. Because I think
Right.
if I can do these movies correctly, some of them I might not even end up finishing. Like I have
Yeah.
every Alien movie on here. I'm sure that some of them are not good. So we'll see. I might end up backing out, and that saves like 2 hours. I got the Chronicles of Riddick on here. Vin Diesel's a great actor for me,
Right.
but like his movies are always like super hit or super miss.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So it's just a question of how much of it I end up watching in full, I guess is the answer. But
Yeah. I don't know. I think for me, I'm sold for now. Um, I think the content is like pretty on par with Netflix. I think what Netflix has going for it at this point is their originals have kind of made a name for themselves in a way. And while HBO does have like their own original content that also has a name for itself, I think they also have access to like the Warner Brothers library, um, and everything associated with that. So I
Mhm.
think that's what makes for me. I think that's what makes it a more of a contender,
Yeah,
um,
I just think they're gonna have to
for
expand
Netflix.
it much quicker, if that makes sense. Because I
Yeah,
feel like Netflix has their great shows, but they still have amazing movies that are third party that just come out all the time.
that's true.
Like even I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
excited that HBO Max had Enter the Dragon because I'd never seen Bruce Lee's first like big movie.
yeah.
Netflix just added it like a day ago. So now we're
Yeah,
back.
that's true.
So
I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens with all the stuff coming out this year. Um, Overall, I'm satisfied,
yeah.
but we'll see what happens. I guess.
Yeah. So speaking of another streaming service, we've gotten some more information, probably the final information we're going to get regarding WandaVision. And
Yes.
that is that it is going to be 9 episodes long. This is much higher, honestly, than people thought originally. People were originally anticipating 6.
Hmm.
It is also, for those of you not aware, it is coming out the 15th, which is next Friday. It's going to run weekly, just like The Mandalorian.
Yes.
There might be a week off depending on when Valentine's Day is. No, we're fine. Never mind. So there's no holidays, so it should be just a straight shot 9 weeks through February.
Right.
And I think I don't know. Like if you've been watching it, it just sounds really exciting. I think that 9 episodes sounds like a great amount of time to hit it out.
Yeah.
The budget is massive, but even with that massive budget of 150 million, people weren't anticipating such like a long show.
It is a long show episode wise, but did you see that the length of the episodes are about like 30 minutes each?
No, I have not seen a actual thing length yet.
I saw the length. I don't remember where I saw it, but the length of episodes are going to be about 30 minutes. And I also saw that the music is going to be by the writers of like the Frozen soundtrack.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that.
Which I think is a great pick because it looks like they're really going to go for the sitcom route, with just the approach, which I think that whole theme that they've been pushing and promoting throughout the whole like marketing process has been it's an easy sell for us at least. Like you and I both like sitcoms, and I think I'm interested to see if there's a theme to the show, if the theme will change based on like the era that they're in, because it looks like they're doing like 50s and like the 80s,
Yeah,
probably
my
like the
guess is it'll
90s.
probably be 4 episodes or 5 episodes, but each one's a decade, and then the back half will be like a nonstop race to the finish to
Right.
let it all explode and come to a head.
Sure.
At least that's
Yeah.
my anticipation of it.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty accurate. I mean, I could totally see like at some point she kind of just snaps and then all of a sudden it turns into like a race to solve the issue.
Yeah, my guess is that she finally realizes what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I'm not even sure she knows what she's doing or if she's the one even doing it.
Mhm.
I think she's partly responsible. But like she definitely feels like, seeing more of the trailers, it seems like she might not actually even be in control of what's going on.
Right.
So, I'm thinking like first episode, 99% sitcom, right at the, and there's like periodic, like small weird things happening.
Yeah.
And then like right at the end, something like super weird happens that like cracks the show open and gets you hooked for the next 9 or 8 episodes.
Yeah.
And then somewhere in the middle, Monica Rambeau is probably going to pop right through. And then, she's like, it's time to wake up. And then there's going to be, it's like, then that episode ends. Then episode 5 is a flashback to everyone on the outside doing their own thing with the girl from Thor. And then we pop back in and then we finish it. And then we get ready for Spider-Man.
Right. I agree. I'm with it. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Honestly, so this is, Jesus, my chair's so fucking squeaky. Yeah, sorry about that, everyone. This is just really exciting for me. Another thing I wanted to talk about was that this show is going to be the first Marvel piece of content, like MCU content, in over a year because of everything that happened with COVID-19 and their delaying of the release schedule. But on top of that, this year it is also confirmed already that we are going to get Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, and Miss Marvel all this year. And on top of that, streaming. And we're also going to be seeing, I believe, we are going to get both the Eternals and what's her name, Black Widow, by the end of the year.
Right.
So,
I think what their plan is, at least for the first 3 shows, it looks like WandaVision will run for its 9 weeks, and then it'll probably be like a 2 to 3 week gap, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier will start.
Yeah.
And then another gap, and then Loki will start. Um,
Yeah, they're
and
running
it looks
pretty hard.
like, yeah, I like that strategy. It keeps people invested on the service and invested in the story. It's almost like the story is just like nonstop, like year round. Each week, it's a new episode of like what's happening in Marvel, which I think is a sick approach. I think it's really fun.
Yeah, kind of like a comic book.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I'm pretty sure Black Widow's still slated for the summer right now, like June-ish. But I guess we'll probably end up seeing if it makes theaters or if they jump it over to Disney Plus. I can
Yeah.
imagine that if they're doing the approach that they're doing right now with the shows, I feel like they won't want Wonder Woman to, even though, or not Wonder Woman, Black
Black
Widow.
Widow.
Yes. I feel like they wouldn't want it to fall behind, even though it's a prequel. I think they're gonna try. My prediction is, I guess, that they're probably gonna put it on Disney Plus, so they can introduce Florence Pugh's character even faster. Even though I think she's gonna be in Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna want to get her out there. So, I don't know. Worst case scenario, hopefully we'll get Black Widow and Eternals on streaming.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like just for pacing and just the way that they have their movies, they're going back into production now. It's rumored that Black Panther 2 is going to start production in June.
Yeah.
Between everything they have, I feel like you almost just need to shoot these movies out this year no matter what.
Right.
They might be able to hold on long enough. They might be able to do what you're saying, like a limited theater run of Black Widow in June or like July or whenever that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Eternals can easily be a fall thing, barring, the vaccine gets out properly, which I believe they're aiming at least. I think they're aiming for the summer for everyone, for like general population.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can get back on schedule and at least get back to like putting stuff out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. The whole thing's just exciting. I love what Marvel's doing right now. And, I love what you said, like the idea of just being able to tune in every week. Like this justifies Disney Plus every week.
Yep.
Disney Plus, honestly, Disney Plus, I know we're just kind of getting off topic. Disney Plus is really, I would think, the best streaming service value-wise, if that makes any sense. Because
it definitely is
$7 a month. You can buy a bundle to make it $70 for the year. I believe that's going up next year.
Yeah.
But even at that, just the fact that you can even bundle it, like Netflix should really do that. I mean, they don't have to because they know you're not going to get rid of it anyway.
Yeah.
But because if they did, I'd buy it. It's not. I'd lock myself in for the year. But the amount of content and high quality content that you're starting to get from Disney Plus every week, it really. I genuinely believe that, especially after The Mandalorian, there's something to be said about a weekly show that can take over the internet when it happens.
It's true.
Game of Thrones did it. Like I'd come into school on Monday and my history professor's like, all right, like today we're just talking about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like we didn't
just get into it.
Yeah, it was like whatever. And especially we were talking about the end of The Mandalorian, when that show ended, no spoilers. Like Twitter just destroyed they were going crazy. It was trending number 1 the entire day basically. It's just, I don't know. There's just something like really magical about that Disney has definitely captured.
Yeah.
And if they can
when you have the number 1 show in the country, like it really dominates everyone's lives in a way.
Because, yeah. And if they can capture that every week, 52 weeks, like if you can capture every fucking Friday,
you got people locked in all year round. It's like, and if I think that eventually they have the potential to do that because we've seen all the announcements they've made with between the Marvel shows, the
Star
Wars shows that are coming. Like, if they're gonna hit a certain stride, probably not this year, but by next year, like we're gonna be seeing almost once a week. We're gonna be either seeing multiple times a week. We're gonna be seeing the Star Wars release, the Marvel release, and it's just gonna be year round, and it's gonna get crazy, but it's gonna be awesome because like not only are you gonna be tuned into the TV throughout the week, then every like 3 to 4 months you're going to be in the theater seeing the movie, and that's going to be the next continuation, the big event of the universe, and it's going to be awesome. They're executing well.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, while we wait for the epic Marvel stuff, and I haven't been following this as well, so I'm gonna let you take us through it. But there has
Sure.
been some crazy DC happenings, and none of them have been good.
Yes. So, uh, for those of you that I'm sure everyone's heard like a piece of this news, but there's a lot wrapped into it, and I figured we could unpack a lot of it here. Um, so, for those of you guys that know, Wonder Woman 84 came out on Christmas Day, which we're going to talk about more during our discussion topic. Um, I think, no, I won't say anything about Wonder Woman 84 here because I don't want to say any spoilers. But basically, about like a week after the release, Walter Hamada, who is the head of, he's basically in charge of DC over at Warner Brothers.
Mm.
He's the Kevin Feige, if you will. Um, he had an interview with the New York Times talking about the future of DC, and what they're moving forward and working on. He talked about they want to have eventually they want to get to 6 movie releases a year, and on top of that, with every project or movie that they have, they want to try and do some kind of HBO Max spin-off with that. And that has been we've talked about that a little bit in the past. How Robert Pattinson's movie, they're gonna try to do a Gotham PD spin-off. Um, the Suicide Squad, they're gonna have an HBO Max spin-off with John Cena's character,
Yeah.
which is gonna be a prequel. So we're kind of seeing the seeds laid for that already. Um, but on top of this, like that happened in the past week, so that was like I guess like the big news drop. But then on top of that, there's been rumors about Michael Keaton is gonna be replacing Ben Affleck as Batman in the main DC EU, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I get. Let's start with that because there's other shit that's like there's so much stuff here. Like,
Sure.
so the Michael Keaton thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's apparently going to replace Ben Affleck after Flashpoint. Now earlier this week, that came out, and a bunch of outlets were reporting that Michael Keaton has been offered like a 3 to 6 movie deal with
Yeah.
the Flashpoint thing. But either yesterday, I think it was yesterday, it came out that the guy who this was all like coming off the speculation of the New York Times article with Walter Hamada.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy who did the interview for the New York Times article came out and said, "I never confirmed Michael Keaton has other deals. If I knew anything of him being, signed on past Flashpoint, then I would have reported it,
Yeah.
which he didn't." So the speculation, I guess you could say, if the Michael Keaton rumor is true,
Mm-hmm.
is that he's got like a 6 movie deal. He's gonna take over Ben Affleck, jump into the DC's main Batman
Mm-hmm.
role, and instead of him playing Batman and being involved in the League stuff, he's gonna train Batgirl to be the main Bat family person in the DC universe.
Interesting.
So it would be kind of like a Batman Beyond type of spin, and that would be executed through Batgirl showing up in Flashpoint. She gets her own movie, which might go to HBO Max. Walter Hamada talked about that in his interview, which kind of splintered off into its own explosion because everyone's like, "Why would you do this? It's Batman Beyond." So there's that, and on top of that, they said the girl who wrote Birds of Prey is going to write the Batgirl movie, which was its own problem. Yeah, like big pump the brakes, guys. Like, did you see Birds of Prey, John?
No, so I haven't, but my dad watched. So my dad also has my HBO account,
Yeah.
and he watched Suicide Squad for the first time over break,
Okay.
and he loved it. He was like, "That was amazing. That was so great. Like, why aren't there more of those?" And I was like, "Well, nobody liked it."
Yeah.
And then he was like, what? That's crazy. But then I'm
Mhm.
like, if you like that, like Harley Quinn has their own standalone film that's like kind of like a spin-off of that.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, cool. And like I haven't seen it. And then
Yeah.
he watches it and he was like, that was garbage.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, then that means it's really garbage,
Yeah.
which is,
I've
unfortunate.
seen both, and I liked aspects of Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But overall, it's not a good movie, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um,
It's sitting on my list. I don't know how far I'll make it through, but
it's I don't even know. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you. It's like if you've seen Birds of Prey, it's a very much you're either gonna hate it or you're gonna love it because it's totally different from everything else, and you like that direction, or you're gonna be like, that was okay.
oh, you know what? I've seen a little bit, just like a tiny bit, because I remember I was like walking out the door, just like in passing.
Yeah.
And it was I just remember seeing the opening, like the opening of the film,
Hmm.
and it's like one of those like, hey, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got here.
Oh. Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, wow, this is fucking cringe. Like she's
there's a
posting cringe right now.
there's a lot of cringe stuff that happens in Birds of Prey, to
Like
be
I
honest
to
with
the
you.
point where I can't even imagine that Margot Robbie was like, "Yup, I'm gonna say these lines, and we're gonna do this."
I don't know. Um, Birds of Prey is it's something else. If you
Yeah,
have HBO and you want to check it out, I'm pretty sure it's on there.
it
But
is. It's on my list.
uh, so if you watch Birds of Prey,
Mm.
then you can come to the conclusion of what you think uh, Batgirl's going to be.
Yeah.
Um, and also, if you watch Birds of Prey, um, like my main takeaway from Birds of Prey was that they should have just done Gotham City Sirens, which is Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
Like that would have been a way more interesting story, and you could have done a lot more with it. Um, but if you watch the movie, you could totally think like, and seeing this news, you would totally think that like, you know what, the person who wrote Birds of Prey would think it's a good idea to put Batgirl in the Batman Beyond situation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because like, I, I'm sure you've seen Batman Beyond, but like, he's a pretty like fan favorite character, Terry McGinnis.
Yeah.
And the story is just like a fan favorite kind of story. Like it was I think the show lasted like 2 seasons or three seasons, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it was good.
Now
It was a
people
good
love
show.
it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't know what direction they think they're going. If this is the plan, but I don't know if it's necessarily the smartest one. um,
I mean, sometimes you got to do the comic adaptation in a different way.
yeah, and
You know,
I agree.
it has the potential to be good. I think, especially with the Marvel universe, they kind of defy the general MCU stuff a lot.
Hmm.
Like, obviously, they don't really give much of a crap about secret identities. They change up a lot of people's backstories. I
Right.
think they're not afraid to kind of like change the source material while still trying to pull like certain comic book runs or
Yeah.
like animated runs. So for DC, it's like if you remove Terry McGinnis but have like a similar Batman Beyond vibe, it could work.
Yeah.
But do we trust them enough to do that?
Do you trust them to do it, and do you trust that path in this reboot or soft reboot of this universe that they have?
Hmm.
Like we're talking about Batgirl is going to be along with Ezra Miller's Flash and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, maybe Henry Cavill's Superman if they don't recast him.
Yeah, I
If
still
they,
think that Ezra Miller is not a good Flash.
I don't think so either.
Hmm.
And part of this whole sweep of news is that so I guess I'm trying to segue all this news because it's like it's all looped together, but
Yeah.
so there's all that, right?
Yeah.
And so on top of this, uh, they came out and said Zack Snyder's not involved in anything else past the Snyder Cut. Um, and Warner Brothers is looking at the Snyder Cut as like I'm pretty sure the quote they used was it's a cul-de-sac universe. So you get to the end of the street, the Snyder Cut's there, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like we're not moving forward with it. Like that's gonna be its own little thing. You're happy, boom, live in the
Mhm.
cul-de-sac the rest of your life. Um, So what their ultimate plan is that the Snyder Cut and that universe is there, and that's going to be Earth 1. And then Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to be Earth 2, and they're going to coexist alongside each other as, Michael Keaton's universe with that whole mess,
Yeah.
and Robert Pattinson's just going to do his own thing on Earth 2. I guess that's what they're going to call it. And they're going to run side by side. And Habana's, I guess, plan with this is audiences are going to understand it, and as long as we make good movies, they're going to go along for the ride. Which is, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
It's potential for it to be terrible.
Yes, I think the whole setup of a lot of it stems back to why are we bringing Michael Keaton back? I think it's cool for Flashpoint if you want to bring him in for one movie, and you see him, and it's like the Spider-Man 3 situation, it's like, holy shit, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, that's so cool. It's the same thing. It's like, that's cool to see Michael Keaton in this movie, but if we're talking about taking Ben Affleck out of the equation forever, a Batman that a lot of people do we really want to go back to 1989 from Michael Keaton and say that he's gonna just take over? I don't know if that's smart. I don't know if I like it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the biggest thing that I think is set to flop. I do think that would get confusing, right? I think having multiple universes dealing with the exact same characters, and most likely some of them cross between both universes. You know what I mean? You could have a Wonder Woman movie from one universe and a Wonder Woman movie from the other universe, and they're both Gal Gadot, because you're not really gonna,
You don't want to replace Gal Gadot.
Yeah, you don't have to. Ben Affleck doesn't want to do it. You got to replace him, right?
Yeah.
But so that's confusing. But then the thing that I personally think is the weakest out of all of this is the spin-off potential on HBO Max.
Yeah, for everything.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're gonna do a spin-off TV show. And to be honest, I think that some of the ones that they've already done for DC were pretty bad. They tried to do the Cleanup Crew DC show, Disaster Control.
Yeah.
And that didn't even, I don't even think it aired. But
yeah, I think you got one episode out and then they canceled it.
Yeah, because if you asked me, right, it's a Robert Pattinson-led Batman movie. They got some big actors. Why am I going to see that movie? For Robert Pattinson, for the narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then but mostly, I'll be honest, Robert Pattinson and some other big name actors are going to get me in the chair.
Yeah.
A big name Batman movie. And then, all of a sudden at the end credits, they're like, hey, if you like this, what if we had a show where we didn't have the budget to do any of this, but we could talk about how cool this was?
Right.
Right. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see, because whoever they cast a big name for Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
He's not going to fucking show up in the TV show. Maybe once.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? But then you got to just throw it out there. And I'm not saying it won't be, there won't be bad shows. But why would you do that? Why do I want to see another Gotham PD show when it's literally, it doesn't have the budget to be good, Gotham. It's just going to be a fucking cop show.
Also, Gotham already happened. That Gotham show on Fox, it already happened. I'm pretty sure that show's done.
It is done. It took, I don't know.
I think it had 5 seasons.
Yeah. Some people say it was good, some people not.
It definitely had its fans.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I never watched it.
I think it took a little long to get started. It took a couple, a season or two to get some prime characters in there.
Yeah.
And then whether or not you actually like what they did to say, the Joker, for instance, with
right.
I don't remember the actor's name. Whoever played Cal Kestis in Jedi Fallen Order.
Right. He's a good actor.
Yeah, he's a good actor, but I didn't think his Joker was super interesting. I don't know.
It has fans.
Yeah.
It's it's its own little thing, I guess.
Yeah. I don't need you to make a similar CW, but you can't even have the good characters in it. You know what I mean?
I agree. And even CW is hit or miss sometimes. I mean, it has its fans, of course, just like Gotham does, but it's hit or miss. And on top of all of this, all of this stuff.
Mm.
There's the drama of it all, I guess, is they're right now currently
Yeah.
they're working to recast Ray Fisher as Cyborg.
Yeah.
Um, that is completely like he's axed. Like they're not even they don't even want to negotiate with him. They don't want to say anything.
Well, it sounds like he doesn't want to say anything to them either.
Well, yeah, I think it's been just like bridges burned on both sides. Like, strong words were said on both ends, and it's just not like a repairable relationship,
Mm.
which is understandable. But when the drama of that situation is not only what Ray Fisher came out and said and exposed, if you want to call it that.
Mm.
Um, the talk has begun of, well, you're going to recast and fire Ray Fisher for what he did, which was really like a whistleblower type of thing.
Yeah.
But you're not going to fire Amber Heard,
Yeah.
and you're not going to fire Ezra Miller,
Mm.
who both have their own public scandals, and they're already talking about Amber Heard's going to get an HBO Max show to explain why she's not going to be in Aquaman 2 as much, but she's still going to be in it. And it's like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah, ridiculous.
It's just ridiculous overall. You know what I mean? Like, I think, like, from all this news coming out, like, the general perception that I'm seeing is they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's been 7 years since this universe started with Man of Steel, and they still don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's just a mess. Like,
yeah, it really is.
It hurts me because, like, when I was a kid growing up, before Marvel became what Marvel is now, like, DC was my shit.
Yeah.
Like, all their animated shows and the comics and just everything made me a fan. Like, it introduced me to everything. Like, it started the snowball of, like, introducing what Marvel was.
Yeah.
And seeing what their entertainment is becoming is just, like, it's sad to see from a fan perspective, because you could change all these things. Like you said about, like, Birds of Prey or Batgirl. Like, you can change certain things, and I would expect you to change certain things just to give it a twist. Like, as you should as a creative,
Yeah.
But I think you can only change so much before you start kicking the core fan base.
Yeah.
And that's, like, where, like, it's just, like, the obvious thing you don't want to do. It's like you have to keep the core fan base and expand from that.
Yeah.
And I think DC is just still, they're not grasping that that concept.
No, I agree. I think it's just really disappointing, especially because I didn't get the comic runs, but I watched the animated stuff growing up. And in my opinion, the animated TV shows for DC were much better than the Marvel stuff, and they still are. The DC animated movies are amazing.
Yeah.
Even the DC TV show, like Harley Quinn on HBO Max, hilarious.
Oh yeah, I started watching it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and it just, for that to happen, and then you start to grow up, and you're like, okay, where's, like, the big stuff? And they're like, oh, it's a dumpster fire, and I'm like, huh?
Yeah, it's just like, what? Like, guys, like,
yeah. I mean,
why can't we get someone in the driver's seat that knows what they're doing? Like,
you know what it feels like? It feels like Star Wars, new Star Wars, Disney Star Wars.
Yeah.
Where you watch the Clone Wars, you watch Rebels, you're like, this is amazing. Dave Filoni's killing it. And then you turn around and J.J. Abrams is on fire. And you're like, J.J., what are you doing over there? And he's just like, I love Star Wars so much more than Star Trek. I'm like, but the Star Trek movies you made are so much better than this.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just love it so much that I fucked it up.
Yeah.
Great job, Jage. But, like, get Dave Filoni in the fucking seat. Apparently, kids, fucking television directors know how to make fucking content.
Yeah. And it's funny because, Star Wars is kind of solving their problems now by
just putting them in the seat.
They're putting the guys who ran TV and have been killing the TV and expanding the fan base and pleasing everybody in the driver's seat of the main content, right?
Yeah.
And when DC tried to do that, they brought Jeff Johns over from CW and from the comics, and he fucked everything up. So it's like they don't have anybody in their corner that can help them.
Yeah.
Like, and the talk has been going for years about, like, oh, like, DC wants to get J.J. Abrams to work on Superman. It's like, at this point, like, what J.J.'s done with Star Wars, and granted, he was trying to steer a ship that was falling
Yeah.
out of the sky. Like, I don't think the public perception of J.J. Abrams is what it used to be,
No,
to an
it's
extent.
not. No, I
To an
agree.
extent. I mean, like, everyone's gonna respect JJ for who he is. Like, we all know he's talented. We all know he can do great things.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, how many straws are we gonna grasp for before we just say, you know what, just start over. Just start it over. Like,
Yeah. No, I agree.
you could do that with Robert Pattinson, but
Good. But will they?
are they going to?
Probably not.
Probably not.
So,
Probably not.
in the interest of time, we're gonna have to move on.
Yeah.
Just one final thought I would like to give, which is that there are rumors that Disney is going to remodel the Galaxy's Edge theme parks to reflect the Mandalorian universe of Star Wars instead of the after Episode 9 Star Wars, or like the during the sequel, Episode 9 Star Wars. Just because, one, those parks have underperformed a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But also just, like they're gonna they got more credit. So like, and Marvel's those like Disney campuses are supposed to open soon.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. But anyway, we got to move on. So we got about 10 minutes of movie, which is hilarious. We're gonna review Soul and Wonder Woman 1984 for you guys.
Yes.
With some quick reviews. Hopefully we'll actually get that quick. I want to keep this to like an hour.
Yeah.
But also, preface. Billy and I have been making content together for a long time, and I just think this is a semi-funny story. But the first Wonder Woman, when it came out, we tried to do like a movie review for a YouTube channel that we were trying to put out. The movie review ended up being, I want to say, 2.5 hours.
It was long.
It was almost as long as
everything.
the film, if not longer.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. We had a lot to say about that one, gonna be honest. I'll give you a little.
I don't think we ever put it out.
We did not put it out. But
I remember we recorded it and we were playing Injustice while
we were talking about it.
Which may have been juggling too much, but
yeah,
it happened.
Yeah, it did happen. And honestly, I don't think I could even say 10 minutes worth of stuff about 1984 unless I was angry. All right, I'm still wasting time. All right, Soul. Let's talk about Soul. Disney Plus. It was free. Came out same day as Wonder Woman came out on Christmas.
Yes.
What are our thoughts here? What are your thoughts, Billy? Because I feel like I have a controversial or a hot take. So I'm gonna let you go first because I don't want to.
So Soul overall, when I was walking into it, I figured, I think I had the general perception that a lot of people did. It was like this is gonna be like Inside Out, pretty similar, and I think a lot of people still make that comparison.
Yeah.
Even though when you watch Soul, it's nothing like Inside Out in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Soul is a lot deeper. It's a deep fucking movie, honestly. When you really sit back and watch it, you're like, damn, this is like, we're talking about the constructs of the universe and like, consciousness and being and all this stuff. And overall, I was really entertained by it. Pixar did not let down. I would say Soul is a hit. If it went to theaters, I think it would have smashed. By today's wacky standards of COVID, it is a smash.
Yeah.
It's performing fantastically. I really liked it. I liked the conflict of, I haven't watched it since Christmas Day, so I'm trying to remember names. But I liked the dynamic between the two characters.
Jamie Foxx, 22.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx and 22. That's what it is. And I loved how, like, Jamie Foxx got to his, like, the moment that he was waiting for his entire life. He realized, like, it's not everything I thought it would be, and I think Pixar yet again hits the mark of, like, it's a real story. Like, that's a real thing that a lot of people experience in their life. Like, you could have easily just gotten him there and, like, he satisfied roll credits, but, like, it's not. Like, it's not always like sunshine and rainbows when it comes to that kind of stuff. And they did it in, a gracious way, and it was a great lesson overall, I think. And it's a lesson that they haven't touched on yet. And that's something Pixar does really well. I think each one of their movies has a different message and a different lesson for the audience that they're trying to give.
Yeah.
And I would say they succeeded. But I'm interested to hear your hot take because I haven't heard too many hot takes about this movie, to be
Yeah, I
honest.
don't. It's hot in the context of everybody giving it the praise. I'll just come out and say I like it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like
Okay.
I think the movie's like a 5 or a 6.
Really?
Yeah,
A
I mean
five?
like it's fine. I thought it was an average Pixar movie. I didn't cry.
Yeah.
I watched it. I don't know. It was like, yep, like that makes
I
sense. And
remember almost tearing up a little bit. Um,
yeah, I
I mean,
almost got there when he was given like Jamie Foxx was given a big speech or like his realization about what a spark is and
yeah, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like a 5 or 6. I'd probably give it like a 7.5, or like it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
like
I
seven
just
and a
like
half.
it didn't catch me in any specific way.
I can understand that. I felt like when when the movie really started like hitting a stride of like, all right, this is the direction we're going. Like when he met the Eternals or whatever you want to call them,
Yeah,
the squibbly people. Like once
Jeffrey.
we hit Jeffrey, yeah, once he met Jeffrey, I was like I just remember like sitting there. I was like, really? Like this is really what we're doing? Like,
Yeah, I mean the pacing is super strange, honestly. Like
yeah,
the beginning of the movie starts out pretty normally paced. He's got his thing. He's getting his groove on, and then all of a sudden he falls and he instantly dies. Like, bam.
yeah,
And then the whole movie slows down again and kind of just restarts almost.
yeah,
And he meets the Jeffries, meets Terry, the counter dude. I
right.
think this is where I mean, I was pleasantly surprised at how fast they went back to Earth because I was not expecting them to go back at all, really.
Okay.
I was expecting it to be based on like the marketing that I got. It was going to be a mostly this kind of movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I would
yeah,
never
yeah.
expected them to switch bodies or like he's in a fucking cat.
Yeah.
Like they did
I
surprise
didn't
me,
expect that either.
but I
Yeah.
think that the majority of like interest to me is here in like the ethereal plane when he's talking to like the constructs of the universe and stuff. I
Yeah.
think the gags here are the funniest. Like watching all of the different
Yeah.
souls try to like get number 22 to work, and
Hmm.
it's like the greatest people who have ever lived, and they're like you're like Gandhi's like
Yeah.
fuck you.
Yeah, the
Uh,
jokes were really funny in this.
yeah, I think
Um,
Terry is the funniest character.
yeah,
Uh,
Terry's pretty fucking funny.
like when he like when he accidentally kidnaps that guy and like emotionally scars him for life by showing him the fabric of reality. He was like, "Oh yeah, forget
I
about that
liked
one."
I liked the hippie guy who like
Yeah,
drove
also
the
pretty
ship.
good. The pirate ship. It just, I don't like. I liked it. It just, I guess, it just didn't all come together. Like maybe like Inside Out did. Like the
Yeah.
world in that I guess made more sense. If
Hmm.
the I don't want to say if that makes sense. That's too many sense. But like for instance, Inside Out, you go to like there's all these they had different islands, right? And it's like each part is a core part of her personality. And
Yeah.
here's like the cerebral. It just I guess the world made more sense. Whereas to
Hmm.
like they go to they walk through 3 boxes and then they're in like a giant sand desert where people lose the zone or whatever. And
Yeah,
like
like you're
this
in the
man's
zone.
on a pirate ship, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah, like
like
it
I
was definitely
guess
like a trip
yeah.
kind of
It was
thing.
just like why though?
Yeah,
Like
I felt
I
that.
get the idea of the zone, but like why can certain people like do this, and
Yeah, like
why is it a pirate ship?
how does he have like powers beyond the zone? You know, like how does he like how is he in the zone so much that like he knows how to bring people out of the zone? It's
Yeah,
like
it just didn't click with me. I guess as like a whole,
yeah,
like I just didn't understand. I guess that part of the world, and like they didn't really have time to explain it because they jump back to Earth and deal with the other stuff.
yeah.
Um, all right,
I can understand.
we have a
I
minute
can
left to
understand
talk
your
about it.
point. The one thing I will say about Soul, the last thing
Yeah.
I will say, the animation was fantastic.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Um, it was like the shading and everything was so good. It's probably the best animation I've seen,
Yeah.
maybe ever, maybe. But anyway, moving
Yeah.
forward.
I mean, maybe a 5 or a 6 is a little harsh. I think the more accurate thing I want to say is that it's an average Pixar movie.
Okay,
Like it
yeah,
feels like
it wasn't like a standout Pixar movie like Toy Story
yeah,
or
like Toy Story or Ratatouille stands out to me really hard,
yeah,
or like Inside Out really stood out to me. But
yeah,
this one, I was just like, Yeah, it's like a Good Dinosaur,
Okay.
but it's better than the Good Dinosaur. But like
It's definitely better than Good
to the
Dinosaur.
point where I don't know if I would talk about it
Okay.
afterward. Like I don't know if in a couple of years I would be like, oh yeah, Soul.
Soul. Yeah,
Like
that's fair.
I had to really dig deep for that Good Dinosaur reference. But all right, let's jump to the final the final topic for today, which fortunately or unfortunately, depending on whether or not you saw it, is
Yeah.
that Wonder Woman 1984 review. The reason we bought HBO Max.
Oh,
Thank God HBO Max has other content.
yeah. It wasn't behind a paywall or anything,
Yeah,
or at least like an extra paywall, I guess you could say.
yeah, I agree.
I'll say this about Wonder Woman. When the movie ended, I was first. And I watched them both in the same day. My parents and I had like a Christmas Day movie marathon, if you will.
Yeah,
Um, Wonder Woman ended, and I was like, damn, like Soul was way better than that.
yep,
Um, my dad didn't like it. My mom liked it. And I was kind of in the middle. Like I enjoyed. There were parts of it that I thought really shined.
yeah,
I think the first act is probably the best.
mm-hmm.
Um, I think the the best part about it was I think is Gal Gadot's performance and
Yeah,
her like reign over the character as Wonder Woman. Like
yeah,
I
I
think she
agree.
solidified herself as like a Robert Downey Jr. esque or Hugh Jackman esque. Like no one else should play this character. Like she
Yeah,
does it very well. The scene where Steve leaves for good
mm-hmm.
is her best acting ever, and it's the best acting in the DC universe that's ever happened.
Yeah,
And it was a great moment. I love that, but everything else was just like a hot pile of just nah,
yeah.
just nah.
There's some really stupid content in here, and there's my chair again.
Yeah, the
Uh,
writing is atrocious. Like the concept of like the whole wishes thing, like they
tough.
totally screwed it up. Um, and if you've seen the movie, I had this like correlation Pedro Pascal to like a real life person.
Yeah,
I said it in the chat, but like I felt like it was really obvious, and it
mm,
just like took me out for a second. I was like, they don't need to do this if that's what they're trying to do.
yeah,
Um, but and I know people like Pedro Pascal in this movie. They think he did really well. I thought he did fine.
yeah.
Like
I didn't get any standout performance from Pedro Pascal at all. Like
neither did I. I didn't
I
either.
like his meme that came out of it, like the life is good, but it could be better meme format.
Sure.
But I really think that people are just like jerking him off after the Mandalorian. They're like, "Oh, he's so good. He should be in everything." Like
Yeah, it's
my
like, oh,
man's
we
just
finally get to see
gave
his face outside Mandalorian. It's
yeah,
like this isn't anything special.
like he
Like
gave
it's
such an average performance. Not to say I don't know, like not to say that he didn't do a good job, but like it wasn't like damn,
yeah.
like this man deserves an award. It was like, yep,
I
that's a character.
I wouldn't say any of the actors did. I don't think any of the actors did a bad job. I
Yeah,
think that the writing of the script
oh,
and
it
the
was
story
terrible.
just was not good, and it just didn't help anybody.
Yeah, there's so many moments
Um,
that I just really like. So like good moments for me, Steve Trevor doing stuff. Like
sure.
I always like the idea of someone experiencing things for the first time, like to get that like innocence again.
Yeah.
And like it's fun. It's like, oh look, we went to the moon. He's like, we went to the fucking moon. Like that's great, right?
Yeah,
But
that whole
then
sequence was my favorite between the two of them
yeah,
when
like
they went to the museum.
that's a
Yeah,
great sequence, right? But then they try to do it again when they steal a airplane and then they go through the fireworks, right?
sure.
Fireworks have existed for like 500 years. And to the point, like obviously you could argue the strength of fireworks. But if we're talking like 19, World War One when he was alive, and he was alive for a long fucking time. Like he's like
Yeah,
at least 20 something. He's probably like even 30 something. Like he would have seen the fucking fireworks and he's
yeah,
like, "Whoa, what are these?" And she's like, "They're called fireworks." Like first of all, I'm pissed just cuz of some timeline bullshit. So that
yeah,
like you got, we could all look at Steve Trevor go, "Wow."
yeah,
Like I hated that. And that for some reason that really breaks my immersion. I'm just like, you know what the fuck those are, you asshole.
yeah.
Uh, two, also he knows what they are, so he flies straight into a fucking, like, they're bombs. They're literally bombs. And he flies
like
an
the plane
aircraft
going
into
down,
him.
you could get hit.
Yeah, that's
Like,
cap. Like,
it was the perfect moment, though.
Yeah.
It was such a dreamy moment for
Yeah,
them.
it was nice. It's like,
Because
ooh.
she loves how Steve, is impressed by flying, and she can only
Yeah.
fly when she's with Steve.
Yeah,
I mean,
so stupid.
It's stupid. I get what they were trying to do.
So
Didn't
anyway,
work.
even more stupid. They're in Egypt. They're driving down this road like 60, 80 miles an hour, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And they get into this giant fight scene. And then, they're like literally in the middle of the desert. And
Yes.
then out of nowhere, there's like 3 kids playing on the street.
Yeah, with the ball.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, so like you didn't hear all the gunfire and the explosions?
Yeah.
Why is this the only building
With a
in
massive
the
trucks
entire...
driving down
It's
the
the
road.
only building in the shot.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally the only building for miles. And, like, you can't fucking get off the street when you see a giant convoy exploding. Like,
Yeah.
what a
Did
fucking...
you see the controversy behind like Gal Gadot and like the Muslim children thing?
there's, like, some sort of, like, Israel-Palestine nonsense back
It's a
between
whole
it.
yeah. Apparently it's supposed to be like a commentary on like the Israeli army or something, and then
Yeah.
people were like, Gal Gadot didn't give a shit about
Which,
Israeli children, but she did. And it's like, it's too much. It's too
Yeah,
much controversy for like such a dumb scene. You know what I mean?
and then, like, my mind is suspended, it's disbelieved, whatever. I'm like, okay, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then, like, the movie ends, and then I go online, and then they're like, yeah, like, Steve Trevor inhabited someone's body, and then they fucked him. Like, Gal Gadot raped
I saw that
man.
too. People were
And I
saying
was
that
like,
I didn't think about that when I was watching the movie,
but it's true.
but it is true. It's like, damn, that's kind of fucked.
The
Like,
ethical implications. It was, I mean, like, listen, is that something that would have happened in a 1980s movie? Like, even up to, like, 2010, would anybody have actually gave a shit? Probably not. And, like, honestly, it's a film, whatever. Like, I'm okay, right? But still, what the fuck are you guys thinking? Like, what a weird way to bring back Steve Rogers.
Steve Trevor.
Steve Trevor.
See? Look what you just did. Look what you just did.
They're the
You're trying to
same
come
person.
They are the same fucking person. And you know what? Steve didn't need to come back in this movie.
No.
I said it. He didn't.
you did.
He had no fucking reason to come back other than Wonder Woman coming to the conclusion that, like, all your wishes don't need to come true, or, like, something about truth. Like, I don't know. And, like...
Yeah,
and
I
the
thought it
whole-
was... Okay, here's actually a thing. So it probably was about truth, but then, like, in my mind, the movie's about moving on, and, like, she needs to move on, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, she's gonna make friends now. Like, she's been too closed off. Steve's like, you gotta live your life. Like, you can't wait for me. I'm never coming back.
Yeah.
And then so she meets the guy at the end, and I'm like, oh, she's gonna be like, I'm Diana, and they're gonna be friends. Nope.
Mhm.
She don't have any friends still.
Nope.
Great job. You fucking learned.
Also, the friend that she was making in Cheetah,
Yeah.
which I really liked their
Ooh,
dynamic
they
in the beginning.
killed Cheetah.
I wish they built upon it more than what
Yeah.
they did,
Agreed.
because it would have held more weight by the end. But I really liked the direction they were going with that in the first act.
Yeah,
And
I
then
agree.
fizzled out in the middle, with Cheetah becoming her own person in a way.
Yeah.
But going back to the whole Steve Trevor, like, she was fucking this guy.
Yeah.
Like, didn't even know. Like, basically, he was like non-existent.
Yeah, he's a puppet.
I saw someone making like commentary about that, and like, like the last scene of the movie, it's like Christmas time, and she runs into the guy.
Yeah.
Like, she knows that, like, that guy was like just getting fucked. Like, he was just a body, like, to her.
Yeah.
Like, and like, he just like walks off. Like, first of all, you said his outfit was shit, and now it's not shit, and you just let him walk off. And Merry Christmas, everyone. What the fuck? What's going on? Like, it was like, I thought it was funny, whoever like made that comment that I read, but like, just so many problems. Like,
Yeah.
I love this character. Like, it is just, like, Wonder Woman is my favorite female superhero.
Yeah,
like,
they're botching
ever.
it.
And they botched it. Like, they had so many like good opportunities in this movie. There was a lot of setups in the first act that were so good. Like, even the mall fight scene in the beginning.
Yeah, it
like,
wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, and it was I was watching it and I was like, this is kind of campy and kind of goofy. But if they're gonna run with this tone throughout the whole movie, then I'm cool with it. Like that'll be
Yeah.
fun. And they didn't. That tone never came back.
No, I
That
agree.
tone died in that scene, and it was like it's like someone else directed that action scene, and then they handed back over to Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, so weird.
And on top of that, it was like the scene before that when they're in Themyscira.
Oh,
It's like
useless.
you could have cut that whole scene. You
Yeah.
could have cut that entire scene, and like, was it cool? I guess. Like, if anything, it just showed the characters from Themyscira, but they didn't need to be shown.
Yeah, it
It
was just like
served
a
no
fun
purpose.
scene to shoot.
And Patty Jenkins came out and said that Warner Brothers told her to cut that scene, and she said no.
And they were
It's like,
right.
why? Like, the studio was right. Like, not.
Yeah.
This is a good fucking. It's a good point for all filmmakers out there. Take notes from the studio. They're not always bad,
Yeah.
and you have to have other opinions. Like, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I think like one of the things I think the biggest thing was, she talked like especially leading up to this. She was like, "Oh, the first Wonder Woman movie, like the studio did all these changes,
Yeah,
and like I
the third
just
act fight scene.
yeah." And she's just like, "And that ruined the movie for me. So this time I did it all myself, no changes."
Yeah,
Could have used a third fucking act fight scene.
could have used a better third act fight scene, and just, whoever was looking over the writing, they fucked it up. Like,
Yeah,
they
I
should
know.
have they should have had another writer on board. But
Yeah,
unfortunate news. But I don't know. Hopefully, she does better with Rogue Squadron, and if she does stay on for Wonder Woman 3, which she's confirmed to, but you never know, but they'll change it if they
Mhm.
will. Hopefully, if she does, it works out better than this one because it'll be modern day.
yeah.
And
All
don't bring
right.
back Steve Trevor again.
Nah.
Jesus Christ. Leave him.
Well, we're still pretty heated over here, but it is time to head out for the week.
Yep.
So, we've been Cinema Scrutiny. Next week, we are going to be taking a user requested topic. We are going to be talking about our favorite hyper stylized films, and that comes courtesy of Nico Creates over on Twitch.
Yes, sir.
So, we are going to be covering that next week. And, he's suggested it for a while. Unfortunately, we've just been reviewing things between Mando, these, and our break and all that.
Hmm.
So we'll be covering that next week. In the meantime, like, subscribe, tell your friends. And, unless you got anything else to say, Bill, I think we'll talk to him next week.
Yeah, well, here's to a happy, healthy, and improved 2021
Yeah,
on Cinema Scrutiny.
that's true. Have a good one, guys.